My name is Ken Finkel, and I am a lecturer in the American Studies program at Temple University. I also write a regular blog post at phillyhistory.org. So Philadelphia came about partly as a reaction to London's disasters in the 1660s. What would it look like? Well, it would have wide streets. It would be built on a geometric form like a grid. In the middle, you have two wide streets. Going east-west was High Street. We now call it Market Street. Going north-south would be Broad Street. In the center would be a square for public buildings. Now, they named it Penn Square in the 19th century, and the four squares in the four quarters of this grid, and they were named after David Rittenhouse in the southwest, James Logan, who was William Penn's secretary, in the northwest, Benjamin Franklin in the northeast, George Washington in the southeast. So each of these squares had its own different character. The most distinctive one design-wise is Logan Square, which in fact many people call Logan Circle. And what that was an accommodation of the automobile into the city. This was a solution that would enable a connection between Penn Square and Fairmount Park. Logan Circle has the Swan Fountain. In the center of that are three large Native American figures that represent the three rivers of Philadelphia. In Rittenhouse Square, there are a number of fountains, but also really impressive pieces of public art. You have a lion. You have animals that have been climbed on by generations of children. And if you walk up to the goat in the southwest corner, you'll see the amount of wear there is on the top from parents putting their children on over the years and photographing them. And people from all around the country and around the world have come and admired what we have in Rittenhouse Square, which is somewhat reflected in the other two squares. Washington Square, it was a publishing center. It's also a primary residential square. There is, in the center of Washington Square, this tomb, and it sets a character for the space in such a way that every of these squares has a sculpture or a fountain that gives it a sense of itself, that sets it apart. And if you go a few blocks to the north, you'll start to feel existence of Franklin Square. And that was the most run down of the squares. Old Philadelphians didn't believe in living north of Market Street. We don't have quite that image of this square anymore. It was renovated and is now, it's a destination for people. So each one has its own character, its own purpose, its own history. In the city of Philadelphia, you don't have any other public space with quite the potent legacy that you have in these four.